and I came back with just hand-scratched sheets of papers. I put these 7 levels for the first time in Mega Camp and said, this is what I think I'm hearing from you that you're actually doing, right? So let's walk through these and just talk about it. So the first level, of course, is you show up and you do everything.
Right. That's about personal productivity.
Sure. And the first, and remember, the rule of thumb here is when you and or your people are doing all you can do, and you know you have the right people, then you're missing a person. Right. That's the rule. When you're doing all you can do, and your people are doing all they can do, and you have the right people, then you're just missing another person. So when you've done all you can do, which you're going to hit a ceiling of transaction numbers where you're done. And the game to play in real estate is max out your potential. Do it till your tongue is hanging out. And then what you do is you give up the administrative tasks. What you give up is you give up everything that is disdainful to you, right? You don't like it, and you give it up, right? Never to get it back again. You know, I told someone, I said, I added it up, and I said, I only directly hired less than 15 people in my life to build Keller Williams to this level. Wow. 15. Okay? Yeah. Okay? From administrative people, the first administrative person I hired is still in the front today. Her husband plays bass in my band. You know? Yep. Right? So by the way, now that we've maxed out that person, the next thing we do is we're going to separate it, and we're going to get someone to be in charge of just transactions.
And who hires that person?
Administrative person.
That's right.
Not you. That's why the line is drawn that way. That's the point I made when I said I only hired X number of people. Is that,
Now here's the worst thing you can do. If you got the first one wrong and you let them hire the next one, I've run into that problem.
Sure, of course.
Yeah,
that's why, by the way, that's why we say the battle is on this person. Yeah. You don't go let them hire this person until we know that person is the right person.
B's can't get A's, C's can't get B's.
No, so it's got to be someone who is your equal, except on the administrative side of business.
That's right.
Yeah, and then you can build an administrative empire around that person, right? All right, so we do that. So then we get to this thing called the fourth level. So it's bam, 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 just like this. And we've maxed out. Remember, what we've done here is we have maxed out your sales capacity. Because what we've taken away from you with these 2 hires is everything administrative. Everything. Okay, now what happens is now you're looking up and you could generate more leads, but you're done, you're cooked. So you have some choices. And we say part 1 of this is go get a showing assistant. Just like you heard from Jen and Martin. This idea absolutely works. You've got to get the right person. And remember again, it could take you 2 to 3 hires or 4 hires to get that right person. Then it could take you 2, 3, or 4 more hires to get that right person. And then it could take you 2, 3, or 4 more hires to get that right person. This is not I hired 3 people and I have a lead admin, transaction coordinator, showing assistant, and I made 3 hires.
Unless maybe you're, like a Lance Logan who came from a very mature business background and came in and you get all 3 of them right off the bat.
Well,
but for most of us, we don't have that.
He had a lot of practice hiring before he showed up. Yeah, most of us didn't get that.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah, you can definitely narrow it down over time, right? And then the other thing you do is, while you're still in the 4th level, at some point at this level, you give up lead manager, right? You basically bring in someone who either helps generate the leads or takes all the leads that are generated and close those for an appointment.
Yeah, depending on your lead gen, it might be someone who's like the ISA, who is like nurturing stuff for appointments, or an OSA who's trying to set more appointments for you to go on.
And remember, these are not financial levels. These are all capacity levels. In other words, you don't hire the next person until the people that you have are maxed out.
I think where the most amount of errors in this model in the real world is that there's already a bunch of buyer agents showing up before this slide, or by the time this slide is on.
That's what happens. Yeah, and the reason is because we just throw a lot of mud on the wall to see what sticks, instead of mastering the art and science of finding really amazing people and having the guts that if they're not, to work through that, find the next person, and the patience to make sure we don't go to the next level of hiring until we make sure we have a keeper in that role.
It's that patience thing. That's what keeps so many people are wired to make everything happen fast. That's why they are successful. So that marrying aggression with patience seems to be the magic ingredient.
It's tough. It's tough for all of us. It's just tough. And we're going to cheat. We're going to violate it. And we're going to get on the stage and tell all the stories about how we rehabbed ourselves. Right? All right. So the next thing that happens is that what you notice is we add a listing manager. So that admin team, notice who's hiring the admin team. It's your lead admin person. And if they can't hire amazing people, then they're not. You can't have that because you can't get this back. It's not your job. So they're building out this admin team. And the thing that we begin to realize is, if you want this business to be as big as possible, when you hire that lead admin person, you're thinking of someone who could be lead admin for Tim worldwide,
right?
Not Tim Austin.
They're going to be running your hub someday for all your expansion.
Could be, yeah, it could be. So that's exactly right. And on the lead buyer agent side, what happens is that showing assistant has now moved into becoming a lead buyer agent, and they may have multiple showing assistants. What we're trying to do is maximize the lead buyer agent's potential.
You're turning it in, and you made this comment, like with Jen, she's becoming an executive of her own little business over there.
Okay, so pay attention. That's exactly right. So pay attention. What we're trying to do is we're trying to have a lead admin person who's an executive lead admin person who, for the rest of your business life, can stay there, and you don't ever get any of those jobs back.
Yep.
What we're looking over here for the showing assistant becoming the lead buyer agent is, we're looking to create a position where someone can make enough money to be an executive in that position. So when I look at Jen, that's why I said, I just looking at how she talks and presents herself, what I know is I'm looking at actually a business executive who's in charge of the buy side of my business.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, she's an entrepreneur, right? She is building a business inside of that. And the goal here is to help her make the maximum amount of money possible, because I don't want the job back.
Right.
If she goes, I've got 2 showing assistants that report to me.
Yep.
I do not want that back. Right? And the same with lead manager, the way this expands is all of a sudden they bring in someone, and one of them is doing what you would say the lead gen part, the other one might be doing the conversion part to appointments. Right? Then we go to the 5th level, and all that really changes here is we build out that lead side of the business, right? The lead generation side of the business. So someone is generating the leads, someone is converting to appointments.
You're warming up to get rid of the listing business, right? So you're maxing out those appointments so that there's an opportunity to hire that person too.
Sure. So we go to the 5th level part 2, and all that is we've now given up all the listings. So recognize in this moment you've given up lead generation, you've given up administration, you've given up working with buyers, and now you've given up working with sellers.
And what ideally that listing agent's coming out of one of these sides here. I mean, they should be coming out of that lead manager side or that buyer agent side.
Absolutely. If you've done your job correctly in hiring, they would naturally show up in either on the lead side or the buy side. They would show up in one of those roles.
So that's a position that you can't screw up.
Yeah, it's the lifeblood of your business, right? So then we get to the 6th level, and what you notice happening is that buy side and list side now has a director of sales. And we've now, either someone on our team has moved to another market, or we have found an agent in another market who wants to take everything that we're doing and duplicate that in that market. And it should happen naturally. In other words, what happens when you have the right people and they do their job, you really don't have a choice. You're going to be forced to grow, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I gave up my role as being the CEO and became the chairman of the firm 20-something years ago, by the way. It's just me. The next thing you know is I have a person reporting to me. But when you get the right people, then that person has a person reporting to them. Now I have an entire basement of people that I work with, and I'm not even supposed to have a job. Right? Yeah, because that's what it looks like when you get the right people. They just keep making more opportunity possible. They make all that possible, right? And then what happens here is notice that we continue to develop out the lead side, and over here on the sales side, we continue to build out the expansion. So what we've now done is we have someone, and you would hope that the first person that you bring in as an expansion agent would actually turn into becoming your director of expansion. It doesn't always have to work that way, but in perfection, if they weren't the right person, you just keep replacing them. You wouldn't end up with 4 expansion locations that all report to you, because now you're back into real estate hell again.
Right.
Yeah, you have too many people reporting to you, and that's not even what you're good at. So you make your stand right there on that person, and then the goal is they would go into that role.
And people think that they don't want to have that margin taken out of the business to have another leader there, but you just heard Tim saying it. The moment you step out of the way is when it starts to explode, because you have the right person. It's a great investment.
Well, so here's how you end up making better hiring decisions. You hire from within.
Yeah.
One of the gifts of allowing your business to get bigger is when you put pressure on hiring the right people, over time, they become your bench for additional opportunities, right?
It's why we created our junior agent role, where we can actually we can literally double the size of our bench. So what we're doing now is we're hiring anybody that meets our standards. We'll bring them in as a junior agent, and we will literally call it paid training. We will literally pay them to come in and generate leads into our business. And during that time, we're training them, we're mentoring them, and the whole process through. It's a funnel. The guys who make it out of that paid training program, it's a 4 to 6 month program. The ones who make it out get into our first 90 days as an agent. The ones who make it out of the first 90 days as an agent succeed beyond measure. Every single one of them. But it's a funnel that we've built to make sure we can do that. So hiring from within allows you to work that funnel, so you're almost a guarantee by the time they get to a leadership role in your company, or by the time they even get to a high producing role in the company.
You know, it almost goes, it has happened in such a seamless way that people don't even realize that Keller Williams now has its 4th CEO. And people don't even realize it. It just kind of happens because you're coming from within. So they're very familiar with the people, and it just happens seamlessly.
It's the next logical step for everybody in the company.
Yeah, and that's what it feels like when it happens, right? So expansion should just be natural. This thing of forcing it is I guess you could force it, but the reality is it ought to happen naturally, because you're doing so many things right, and you have so many amazing people that you have to expand because they need more opportunity. Expansion is the thing that has to occur.
Let's
right?
take Trammell Crow's story, right?
Yeah.
I want to go down the road to this town and start it. Well, great, then we'll be partners.
That's it, by the way. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, with this expansion conversation, we've talked a lot about leverage inside the business. One of the greatest gifts of Keller Williams for everybody who's expanding their business is that we have this infrastructure built out that we can leverage people outside of the ones that work for us. We've leveraged. There's a guy named Dustin in the South Lake office, a team leader that absolutely just knocked it out of the park for us. And what I mean by that is Matt went to him and said, "This is what we're looking for," and he got us the right guy to start. And then he came with the right second guy, and the right third one, and the fourth one, and he just came in and just kept bringing them, and they all were just matching exactly what we were looking for. And that team did 15 deals last month. 15 deals in one market, because we've leveraged one amazing person that doesn't even work for us. I mean, if it were up to me, I would be having lunch with every single team leader in the nation.
Yeah, but Dustin had to trust you and Matt.
Oh yeah.
If he didn't
it takes the right person.
If he didn't believe that you and Matt were quality people and that you were trustworthy and you wouldn't screw him up, right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what happens is that expansion begins to look like this. In other words, when we get to the 7th level, you step out and somebody, and understand they're going to be either the director of lead gen, director of operations, director of sales, or director of expansion. One of those 4 positions is now going to be the CEO. And if one of those 4 positions is not qualified to be the CEO, you've screwed up. You've totally screwed up. It needs to come from those positions, right? And then there you go.
And that is where you start to grow fast. Well, because now all you do is sit there and just push.
Yeah, so here's the thing though, is that a lot of people heard 7th level meaning I can go and take 6-month vacations and disappear. No, Gary Keller's still here. I haven't left. What 7th level means, and when you're in that red circle, is I get to pick and choose what I do, which means I get to focus on what I do best. And I get to surround myself with amazing people that have unlimited career paths to do what they do best.